Hello, my name is Aviva, and today I'm going to be starting my Shatter Me series reading vlog. So I have been pushing this series off for a very long time, and honestly, I do not have a good excuse as to why I haven't read it yet, but I'm reading it now, so better late than never, and I'm going to be vlogging it for you guys. So what I'm going to be doing is at the end of each book, I'm going to come back on here and I'm going to share with you what I thought about it. So I'll have timestamps down below for each book in case, you find those helpful for any reason, because I know that this video is going to be very, very long, not only because there are a lot of books in this series, and I'm going to try to stick it all into one video, but also because I don't know how to shut up. So with that said, timestamps down below for your benefit if you find those helpful, but also I'm going to make this video very spoiler filled. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, then I apologize, but you might not want to continue with this video. But if you're cool with that, then let's get started. I actually already started on this series and I read the first book yesterday and I finished the first novella last night. So I'm already deeply invested into this series and I'm very much enjoying it. So happens to be before I started this series, I already knew a little bit about it only because I see it all over my feed all the time. I've seen so much fan art, I've seen people talk about it, and I don't really mind spoilers, but I already knew that Warner is endgame, that Adam is not the person that she is going to end up with. I also knew that Kenji was a very beloved character. I knew that this was a dystopian. I knew that there was a bunch of romances in it, but besides for that, I don't really know much else about the story. So it was kind of actually very interesting going into this book knowing that we're meeting Adam, we're falling in love with Adam, but he is not going to end up with Juliet. So I've been trying to kind of figure out how Warner is going to redeem himself, because in book one, you definitely don't necessarily fall in love with him, but knowing that he's endgame, I've kind of been looking out for any clues of how he's going to end up, how Juliet is going to end up falling in love with him, and I've been really enjoying seeing it from that point of view, you know what I mean? But either way, I kind of didn't really like Adam off the bat, so I don't really mind that he's not endgame, only because I didn't like the fact that he lied to her about knowing her when they met in the asylum. That is super sketchy right off the bat. And also just small little details of as we were going throughout the series, especially when Juliet met his brother and when they were trying to escape, there were a couple of little random things that I just realized I don't really trust him right off the bat. So I'm happy to know that he's not endgame, because I don't really love the guy. But happens to be, I am very intrigued about which person is the better person. Is the Omega the good people, or is the reestablishment the good people? And I know that Kenji and Adam are part of the Omega, and I know that Warner is part of the reestablishment, and I cannot get a good read on which are the people that we're rooting for. And I'm assuming that we're going to be rooting for the reestablishment because Warner is endgame, but at the end of the day, I am very lost on who are the good guys. And that's actually very intriguing to go into the series and not know who is supposed to be winning here, But either way, besides that, I'm also really intrigued as to how Adam, Warner, and Kenji can touch Juliet and nobody else can. And my thoughts right now is that it's possible that if you have one of these crazy abilities that the Omega people have, then maybe you can touch Juliet, because Kenji, we know, can, become invisible or something. And Warner said that he has some special ability, but we don't really know what it is. At least that's kind of what I got from the first book. I don't know what he has, but I feel he's got something going on. So I feel Adam's going to have something else going on for himself, and that's possibly why they can all touch Juliet. I don't know, but that's my thoughts for now. But besides for that, I didn't really have any more thoughts for book one. I'm very intrigued in the story. I'm really liking the dystopian aspect of it. I'm really liking the vibe of the world, and I'm very invested in the romances already. I love Juliet. I think she's a really cool character, and I'm intrigued to see where the rest of the story is going to go. So I actually already read Destroy Me, which is the first novella, and I wasn't really sure if I should read the novellas. Are they really important? Are they not? But I'm you know what? They're so freaking short. Let's just take the extra hour that it's going to take to read them and see what they're about. And I'm very happy that I ended up doing that, because I realized that they are very important to the story, because this one's all from Warner's POV, and I really liked seeing the inside scoop of him. I really I feel he's already somewhat redeeming himself, because we finally got to see what was going on inside his head, and I really liked seeing a little bit more about why he's absolutely obsessed with Juliet. I really didn't understand it in the first book of why he's extremely in love with her already, extremely obsessed with her, wants to get close to her and everything like that. I didn't understand it, but already reading this first novella, I feel I understand him just a little bit more. And the fact that he's been abused by his parents, that totally broke broke my heart. And like, I already see how he's going to connect to Juliet so much more than even Adam will, even though I feel like I don't even know that much about Adam yet. But like, I'm already like rooting for Warner. So like, just everything about this novella really made me fall for him a lot more. Like, I love that he found the little notebook, you know, and he was getting to know her a little bit better from that. Like the way that he was like absolutely like cracking in half just by reading all of her words. Like, I absolutely loved seeing that. And I also really liked the fact that like, we kind of understood why he went and killed that soldier in book one. Like the way that he went about doing a good thing secretly by kind of looking like he was really bad. I feel like we just got to know him a lot better in this novella, and I'm very excited to see where the rest of the story is going to go. So that is kind of all my thoughts for book one and the first novella. Oh, and also I forgot that like in this novella was when we got to see that he's like 5'9" and 170 pounds, and that is like such a joke that I see all the time on TikTok. So I'm very happy that I kind of like got to see that in the book finally. Like I wasn't sure where it was going to be, but I was looking out for it and I found it in the first novella. So, you know, very random, but something that I noticed. And either way, yeah, that's about it. That's my thoughts on book one. That's my thoughts on the first novella. I'm going to get started on book two, and I'll come back and share with you my thoughts with that one when I'm done it. So I'm currently in my car because I just finished getting a keratin treatment done. So that's why my hair is like super straight, and it's gonna be for the next couple of days because I can't really wash it until like it's done processing and stuff. But either way, it doesn't matter. My point is that while I was in the salon, I actually started reading Ignite Me, which is the third book in the series. And I realized that like I'm already like getting into that book because I think I got like 11 chapters in. And I forgot to tell you what I thought about book two and then the second novella, which is Unravel Me. And then I think the second novella was Fracture Me. But either way, so that's why I kind of wanted to tell you all of my thoughts on book two before I really get into book three and then everything gets jumbled. So first of all, I don't know why I thought that the reestablishment were possibly the good guys just because like Warner was a part of it. Like obviously I totally should have seen through that, and I feel so stupid because of that. But either way, like I still don't know if the Omega is even the good guys. Like I know the reestablishment is bad, but like are the Omega people bad? Because like I still feel a little bit sketchy about them. Like just the whole idea of how they're trying to take like everybody who has all these powers and like make them into like weapons of sorts. I don't know. I felt sketchy about them. And then like the idea that they're like gone now by the end of like the second novella, I like don't really mind that, even though that was absolutely insane. But either way, I'm still kind of confused about like where everybody lands. Like I feel like people are just gonna go rogue. Like the reestablishment isn't good, but the Omega possibly aren't great either. So maybe like, you know, everybody's just gonna like do their own thing. I really have no idea how it's gonna go down, but I'm still like somewhat confused about like where your loyalties are supposed to lie. But also the big thing is that I really thought that like Adam was all of a sudden gonna like flip a switch and like get really bad, and like, you know, possibly we're gonna find out that like maybe he like stole Juliet to like bring to the Omega to like really use her as a weapon or something. Like I thought he was gonna be like secretly devious or something like that, and like that was why Juliet was gonna break up with him and end up going with Warner. But like at the end of the day, she ended up just breaking up with him because like she didn't really want to hurt him, and like things weren't okay with them for a while now. So like that's how it all went down, and I kind of found it a little bit anticlimactic. But I think that it was just because like I was expecting like it to be a little bit crazier. Like I was expecting like to find out that the Omega were really bad people and Adam was working with the Omega, and like Juliet was gonna find out, so like that's why she was gonna break up with him and run away and maybe like go back to Warner. Like that was kind of like where I thought it was going, and then it just like was very like more basic than that. So it kind of tripped me out a little bit. But besides for that, I don't know why I thought that Juliet was able to touch Kenji, because the thing is, at the end of book one, she had touched him for a second while she was like freaking out, and like Kenji was like, oh, don't worry, I'm okay. Like she didn't hurt him. And that's why I thought that like maybe, you know, she was able to touch Kenji, and that's why she was able to touch anybody who has powers. Like I don't know why, but like I totally like overread into that, and it wasn't that way. Like she can't touch Kenji unless she's like wearing her gloves or anything like that. But I now know why she can touch Aaron and Warner, and that is because of their specific powers. Like whatever it is that their powers is, Aaron can, well, Warner, Adam and Aaron, I hate that they're both like such similar names, because now that I know that Warner's name is Aaron, I keep mixing them up. But basically, Aaron Warner, he can basically transfer powers, and Adam can, what can he do? Whatever it is that he can do, basically it lets him kind of touch Juliet. So I now understand why both of them can and why nobody else can't. And it also is a trip that they're brothers. So even more so, like why are they named Aaron and Adam when they're siblings? Because like that is way too similar for me. Like I keep messing it up and it's driving me nuts. But besides for that, pretty trippy that they're siblings. Like I totally did not see that coming. That totally like blew my mind. But like besides for that, did I have anything else to tell you? Like, I really enjoyed book 2. It was interesting to kind of get to see a little bit more about like why Warner is obsessed with Juliet, and happens to be because I'm already like in middle of Ignite. Like, I got 11 chapters in. I already kind of know a little bit more about like why he's obsessed with her, and it's because of his mother, because his mother has the same thing that like Juliet does. So like that's why he was originally obsessed with her, and then he kind of like fell in love with her when he spent more time with her and realized that she wasn't what he expected. But we're not talking about book 3. But basically, I already know that, and I really enjoy seeing Warner and Juliet because like I'm a huge fan of them. I really liked that scene at the end when he's like, oh, I want to be your friend, I want to be your best friend, you know, like I want to like convince you how to design a smile just for me. Like that whole little like paragraph I absolutely loved. I super died for it. I listened to it like 4 times in a row. I just kept backspacing, and I'm like, that was the cutest thing I ever heard. But basically, besides for that, yeah, I think that was all of my thoughts on book 2. I kind of expected it to go crazier than it was, but it's okay because it was still good in its own way. I was just expecting something different, you know. But besides from that, I didn't love the second novella so much, only because first of all, it was from Adam's POV. I was about to say Aaron again, but no, it was from Adam's POV, and I already don't love him so much, so like I didn't really care for an entire novella of him. But also, the beginning of it was a lot of overlapping from the end of book 2, and I'm not a fan of overlapping. Like I see why it was helpful. Like we kind of got to see a little bit more from like what Adam was thinking, but at the end of the day, like I just don't like reading overlaps at all, especially because I'm reading it all back to back, you know. So it's like I don't need to see the same thing, like the same scene from 2 people's point of views. And then also it was very heavy on like war and fighting and stuff like that, which I'm never a huge fan of. So like I honestly like found it a little bit boring. But I'm not gonna lie, at the end of it, when like, you know, the Omega got bombed and like we thought that James was dead for a second, my heart literally dropped, and I was gonna freak out. I'm like, I cannot believe they're gonna kill a 10-year-old kid. But then in the next chapter he was fine. But like for half a second there, it really got me, and I'm like, what the freaking fuck, you know. So besides for that, that is about it. I am super excited to continue on with Ignite Me because I'm really enjoying it. I do think it's gonna end up being like my favorite book from this series because like I'm already like absolutely loving like everything that I read so far, like just like Warner and Juliet being together, and like I mean, everything about it I'm absolutely loving. But I'll come back and I'll share with you all of my thoughts when I'm done it. So yeah, my thoughts on book 2, my thoughts on the second novella. I'm already in the middle of Ignite Me and I'm loving it so far. So I'll be back when I'm done with that one.
Many hours later.
All right, so I finished Ignite Me and I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely my favorite book of the series so far. And I think my favorite part of the series obviously was the romance. Like at the end of the day, like I was here for the romance, like the dystopian aspect of it like was whatever. And also like I've been tripping myself out this entire time of like Omega versus like the reestablishment, like what the hell is going on? And like at the end of the day, like it definitely was my least favorite part of the story, only because like first of all, I was very confused as to like, you know, who's good and who is bad. And at the end of the day, like I'm not really all here for like a 17-year-old taking over the world. Like all of a sudden she has all of these powers, she comes into it, she kills one guy, and then all of a sudden she's going to be the head of the reestablishment and she's going to like, you know, pave the way for the future. Like I get it, it's very like circa 2014, which is exactly when this book was made, but at the end of the day, it's like I just don't fully believe it, you know. Like it shouldn't be that easy. But at the end of the day, it was pretty cute. Like it was very YA. Like I really did think that there was going to be more to the romance. Like even though I knew that this was YA, like I really thought there would be a little bit more on page than there was. Like I was very surprised as to how much it didn't even like you know, hint as to what they were going to be doing. Like, you know, all of those moments with like Aaron, with like Warner and Juliet like in bed, like I really could not figure out if they were actually like sleeping with each other and all. Like it was so like point blank of like I really had no clue what was going on, and I kind of wish there was a little bit more to it. But like at the end of the day, it's YA, I get it, but like at the end of the day, like I was hoping there would be more. But I still thought that the romance was really, really cute. And I kept thinking, like this book specifically made me realize how much Adam and Warner reminded me of Tamlin and Rysand. And if you've read ACOTAR, then you know what I mean, of the whole thing of like, basically like Adam kind of fell in love with Juliet at the beginning of the series when she was all broken and she really needed someone to like coddle her and kind of be there for her. The same way that Tamlin fell in love with Feyre when she really needed somebody to be there for her and really save her. And then we have Warner and we have Rysand, who were both like the bad guys at the beginning of the book, and we really thought that like they were the worst of the worst. And then throughout the series, we kind of slowly started to realize like, no, they're actually like secretly really good, and all the bad things that they're doing is actually like, you know, secretly doing good things. And like then as Feyre and as Juliet kind of came into themselves, they slowly fell in love with Warner and Rysand. You know, like just the parallels between both of both of those relationship sort of things going on. I just saw it so clearly of like, I totally see why people absolutely love the romance in this series, because honestly, it was like a way more basic version of ACOTAR, in my opinion. Like, take ACOTAR, make it dystopian, and then also make it like way more basic and like way more YA, and like that is the Shatter Me series, you know? So that was kind of like all of my thoughts for this book. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, you know, the dystopian war, whatever, like that was very like, I didn't love that part, but like the romance, like it was good enough to read for the romance. And I definitely see why people like absolutely love Warner. Like, he is so freaking cute. I really loved seeing the whole idea of like, at first he kept telling like Juliet that like he loved her, and then like she kept like denying him, so he was like totally broken. And then by the time that she realized his feelings, he wasn't ready to like put himself through that again, so then she had to like show him. And I really liked seeing like how it all went down. So I really enjoyed this book. There, you know, that was basically it. And I kind of decided that I'm actually going to be making this a part 1 and a part 2. So I'm actually going to be ending this vlog here, and I'm going to, you know, make a separate video for the rest of the series, especially because I heard somewhere that this, like the first 3 books were originally written and like it was supposed to end here. And then like the series was so popular, so the author decided to like continue. And I kind of do feel like, you know, the story kind of ended right here, and like I could totally see how this could have been the forever end. And while I still do want to keep reading the series, I kind of want to like end it right here and kind of like close this up, because I feel like, you know, this at the end of the day, like it was a really good 3 books, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to feel about the next 3 books. So I want to end this vlog saying that like I really did enjoy the first 3 books. I totally see why people are reading this series, are hyping this series up. I totally like feel it, and at the end of the day, like I thoroughly enjoyed it. And even though it was a little bit too YA for me, and like I kind of do wish that I read this like, you know, way back when it originally came out, because I think I would have enjoyed it even more. I'm still really happy I read it, and I'm still really happy to continue on with this series. So I'm ending this vlog here, but in a couple of days, if you're not seeing this like the day that it gets posted, then part 2 is probably already up on my channel. I'll try to like link it in the description below. Whenever it does end up posting, I'll add the link here so that you could go and watch it if you were interested in hearing what I have to say for like the next 3 books in this series. But either way, that is about it. So I'm gonna say goodbye. I hope that you enjoyed hearing all of my thoughts on the first 3 books in this series. And if you did, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And either way, that is it. So thank you. And until next time, enjoy reading.